As people grow older, life slows down in many beautiful ways, but it also changes in ways no one really prepares us for. Aging isn't just about wrinkles or grey hair, it quietly reshapes habits, behaviors, and emotional patterns. Some of these changes are uncomfortable to talk about, which is exactly why they often go unnoticed. Today, I want to speak honestly and kindly about a few unpleasant habits many elderly people develop as they age, not to judge, not to shame, but to understand. Because understanding is the first step toward compassion, growth, and better relationships. 1. Common habit is increased negativity. As years pass, many older adults experience repeated losses of loved ones, health, independence, or purpose. Over time, this can turn into constant complaining, pessimism, or focusing only on what's wrong. Conversations may revolve around pain, problems, or regrets. This negativity isn't a personality flaw, it's often a coping mechanism. But when it becomes a habit, it can push others away and deepen feelings of loneliness, creating a cycle that's hard to break. Another habit that quietly develops is resistance to change. The world moves fast. Technology, social norms, even language evolves rapidly. For many elderly people, adapting feels exhausting or unnecessary. This can show up as refusing new ideas, rejecting modern tools, or constantly saying, "In our time, things were better," while comfort in routine is natural. Extreme rigidity can isolate older adults from family, especially younger generations, making them feel left behind rather than included. Many seniors also develop a habit of excessive worry. With age comes heightened awareness of mortality, health issues, and financial uncertainty. This can turn into constant anxiety about minor symptoms, future events, or imagined worst-case scenarios. Small problems may feel overwhelming, and reassurance often doesn't last. This habit drains mental energy and can make daily life feel heavier than it needs to be. Another sensitive but real issue is declining personal hygiene. This is rarely talked about openly. Some elderly individuals bathe less frequently, wear the same clothes repeatedly, or neglect grooming. Sometimes it's due to physical pain, fear of slipping, depression, or simply lack of motivation. Unfortunately, others may interpret it as laziness or stubbornness, when in reality, it's often a silent cry for help or support. A habit that deeply affects family relationships is emotional withdrawal. Many older adults slowly stop sharing feelings, stop expressing joy, or stop engaging emotionally. They may sit quietly for long periods, avoid conversations, or seem distant. This withdrawal can stem from grief, depression, or feeling unheard. For years, while they may appear calm or uninterested, inside they may feel invisible. Another unpleasant habit is becoming overly critical. Some elderly people begin pointing out flaws constantly: how someone talks, eats, dresses, or lives. This can feel hurtful to family members. Often, this criticism comes from a loss of control. When life feels unpredictable, criticizing others becomes a way to feel powerful or relevant again. As independence declines, some seniors develop dependency behaviors that turn into manipulation using guilt, emotional pressure, or exaggeration of illness to get attention or care. This doesn't always come from bad intentions, it often comes from fear of being abandoned, forgotten, or unloved. Still, when unchecked, it can strain even the most loving relationships. Another habit that emerges is social isolation. Some elderly people stop answering calls, avoid gatherings, or refuse invitations, while they may say they prefer to be alone. Prolonged isolation can worsen mental and physical health. Loneliness can become so familiar that stepping back into social life feels uncomfortable, even threatening. Finally, there's the habit of living in the past. Constantly reliving old stories, achievements, or regrets can dominate conversations. While memories are precious, being stuck in them can prevent seniors from enjoying the present. It can also signal that they feel their best days are behind them, which quietly steals hope. Talking about these habits isn't about blaming elderly people. Aging is hard, it's emotional, physical, and deeply personal. These habits are often symptoms, not choices. What truly matters is awareness both for seniors themselves and for the families who love them. With patience, empathy, and gentle support, many of these habits can soften, improve, or even disappear. Growing older should not mean growing bitter, lonely, or disconnected. With understanding, honest conversations, and kindness, aging can still be a season of dignity, growth, and meaningful connection. As people grow older, it is common for negativity and pessimism to gradually take a stronger hold in their daily lives. This is not because they are inherently unhappy or difficult, but because life naturally accumulates experiences of loss, disappointment, and unmet expectations over the years. Friends and loved ones may pass away, health can decline, and independence often diminishes, leaving older adults feeling vulnerable and frustrated. When these experiences pile up, they can subtly shift a person's perspective, making it easier to focus on what has gone wrong rather than what is still positive or possible. Complaining about small inconveniences or expressing frustration over trivial matters may become more frequent, and a tendency to anticipate the worst in any situation can become a default mode of thinking. This negative outlook can be reinforced by physical discomfort, chronic pain, or ongoing health concerns, which themselves can drain energy and make optimism feel unattainable. Over time, these patterns can become habitual, influencing not just thoughts but interactions with others. Conversations may revolve around problems, regrets, or criticism, and attempts to highlight positive developments can be met with doubt or dismissal. This persistent negativity can have social consequences, as family members, friends, or caregivers may find it draining to engage in dialogue that constantly focuses on the negative, leading to reduced social interaction and a sense of isolation for the elderly person. Furthermore, the mind itself is affected, as repeated focus on negative experiences strengthens neural pathways associated with worry, fear, and pessimism, making it harder to break free from these thought patterns. Despite these challenges, it is important to recognize that this negativity is often a coping mechanism rather than a deliberate choice. It may reflect accumulated grief, anxiety, or fear of future losses. Understanding this perspective allows caregivers and loved ones to approach the situation with empathy rather than frustration, offering support, gentle encouragement, and opportunities to focus on positive experiences, however small. Encouraging meaningful connections, engaging activities, and moments of gratitude can help counterbalance pessimistic thinking. By acknowledging the reasons behind increased negativity and offering patient support, it is possible to help older adults gradually shift toward a more balanced outlook, improving both their emotional well-being and their relationships with others. As people age, resistance to change and new ideas often becomes a noticeable habit, though it is rarely spoken about openly. This resistance is not simply stubbornness. It usually emerges from years of routine, comfort with familiarity, and sometimes fear of the unknown. Over decades, older adults have developed patterns of thinking and living that feel safe and reliable. Suddenly asking them to adopt new technologies, adjust to societal changes, or embrace new habits can feel overwhelming and even threatening. The pace of modern life often exacerbates this, with technology evolving rapidly, communication styles shifting, and cultural norms changing faster than one can comfortably adapt. When faced with these challenges, it is natural for some elderly individuals to respond by saying, "We've always done it this way," or "In my day, things were different." These statements may come across as dismissive or rigid, but they often reflect a deep need for stability and reassurance in a world that seems increasingly unfamiliar. Resistance to change can also be linked to fear of making mistakes, of appearing incapable, or of losing control. For example, learning to use a smartphone, navigate online banking, or adopt new healthcare routines can be intimidating, even if they promise convenience or safety. Unfortunately, persistent refusal to embrace change can have social and emotional consequences. It may create friction between generations, making younger family members feel frustrated or disconnected, while the older individual may feel misunderstood or marginalized. Over time, this habit can contribute to isolation, as social activities, family gatherings, or community engagement increasingly require adaptation to new norms beyond social impact. Resistance to change can affect mental agility as challenging. The mind with novel experiences is one of the keys to maintaining cognitive health. A rigid mindset can limit opportunities for learning, creativity, and personal growth, yet with patience, empathy, and gentle encouragement, this habit can be softened. Offering step-by-step guidance, reassurance, and hands-on support can help elderly individuals feel safer and more confident when encountering new experiences. It is also helpful to highlight benefits in ways that resonate personally, showing how a new tool, habit, or perspective can enhance independence, safety, or enjoyment. By approaching resistance with understanding rather than criticism, it is possible to help older adults gradually embrace change, remain engaged with the world, and maintain a sense of agency and fulfillment in their later years. As people grow older, emotional withdrawal and social isolation often become habits that are painful yet rarely discussed. This tendency is not born out of malice or disinterest, but rather emerges from a combination of life experiences, changing priorities, and sometimes unspoken fears. Many elderly individuals have experienced significant losses: friends, spouses, siblings, or even long-standing routines, leaving emotional scars that make them hesitant to invest in new connections or conversations. Over time, they may begin to pull back from social interactions, choosing silence over engagement, or retreating to familiar spaces rather than participating in gatherings. Emotional withdrawal can also be fueled by a fear of being a burden. Older adults may worry that sharing their feelings, struggles, or daily challenges will weigh too heavily on their family or friends, so they internalize emotions instead of expressing them. While this self-protective behavior might feel safe, it often unintentionally deepens feelings of loneliness and can create a perception among others that they are uninterested or indifferent. Social isolation can reinforce emotional withdrawal, creating a cycle that is hard to break. As older adults interact less with family, friends, or community, they miss out on opportunities for connection, laughter, and support, which are crucial for mental and physical well-being. The effects can be profound. Depression, anxiety, and cognitive decline can be exacerbated by prolonged isolation, and physical health can also deteriorate due to reduced activity and motivation. It is important to recognize that this habit is rarely a deliberate choice. It often reflects a combination of grief, insecurity, and adaptation to the limitations that aging can impose. Addressing emotional withdrawal requires patience, empathy, and gentle encouragement. Family and caregivers can foster engagement by creating safe, comfortable environments for sharing, providing meaningful activities, and showing consistent presence without pressure. Even small gestures, phone calls, short visits, or shared hobbies can slowly rebuild trust and emotional openness. Understanding and responding with compassion allows elderly individuals to reconnect, regain a sense of belonging, and experience the emotional nourishment that is vital for their overall quality of life. With awareness and support, the cycle of withdrawal and isolation can be softened, helping older adults feel valued, heard, and emotionally connected once again. As people age, declining personal hygiene and self-care can quietly become a concerning habit, though it is rarely spoken about openly. This behavior is not always intentional or a sign of laziness. Rather, it often reflects a combination of physical, emotional, and cognitive changes that accompany aging. Simple tasks like bathing, grooming, brushing teeth, or changing clothes may become physically challenging due to arthritis, reduced mobility, or chronic pain. Slipping in the shower, reaching for items, or standing for long periods can feel exhausting or even frightening, causing some elderly individuals to skip daily routines. Cognitive changes, including memory lapses or early stages of dementia, can also contribute, as reminders for self-care are forgotten or routines are disrupted. Depression or low mood can make maintaining hygiene feel like an overwhelming chore rather than a priority. And the sense of diminished motivation can lead to neglecting even basic self-care practices. Over time, these habits can become ingrained, and what starts as an occasional lapse may evolve into a regular pattern. Declining hygiene can have broader consequences beyond physical health. It can affect self-esteem, social relationships, and mental well-being, as older adults may feel embarrassed or ashamed when others notice. Family members and caregivers may struggle to address the issue. Balancing the need for assistance with respect for autonomy and dignity. In many cases, the behavior is a silent signal of deeper struggles, whether physical limitations, emotional distress, or a need for social support. Addressing declining hygiene requires patience, empathy, and practical solutions. Simple adjustments, such as installing grab bars, using shower chairs, providing easy-to-use grooming tools, or offering gentle reminders, can make a significant difference. Encouraging small, manageable steps and celebrating accomplishments helps restore a sense of control and dignity. Emotional support is equally important, as understanding that this habit often stems from vulnerability rather than willful neglect can foster compassion rather than frustration. By creating an environment that combines practical assistance with empathy, older adults can regain confidence in their self-care routines, improve their overall health, and maintain their sense of dignity and self-respect, which is essential for thriving in later years. As people grow older, overcriticism and dependency behaviors can quietly become habits that affect both their relationships and their own well-being. Overcriticism often emerges when older adults feel a loss of control over their lives, daily routines, physical abilities, and decision-making may no longer be entirely in their hands, and as a result, they may express dissatisfaction by pointing out flaws in others. Family members, caregivers, or friends may find themselves repeatedly criticized for their choices, behavior, or lifestyle, which can create tension and strain relationships. This habit is rarely malicious, rather, it often reflects a desire to assert influence and feel relevant in situations where autonomy feels limited. Dependency behaviors can develop alongside overcriticism, as older adults may increasingly rely on others for emotional reassurance, decision-making, or physical assistance. Sometimes this dependency manifests as guilt-tripping, emotional manipulation, or exaggerated expressions of need in order to secure attention, care, or companionship. These behaviors can be subtle, such as repeatedly asking for validation, or more overt, like insisting on help for tasks they are capable of managing with guidance. Both overcriticism and dependency can be exacerbated by the fear of being abandoned, forgotten, or losing remaining independence. They may also be amplified by feelings of loneliness, grief, or frustration with physical decline. The consequences of these habits are significant. They can lead to strained family dynamics, emotional exhaustion for caregivers, and increased isolation if others begin to withdraw. Understanding the root causes is essential. These behaviors are often coping mechanisms rather than deliberate attempts to hurt others. Addressing them requires a combination of empathy, patience, and clear boundaries. Providing consistent emotional support while encouraging independence can reduce the need for manipulation and criticism. Offering choices, involving older adults in decisions, and validating their feelings helps restore a sense of control and self-worth. Gentle communication and respectful guidance can also help minimize unnecessary criticism. While creating a structured environment for support reduces dependency without fostering resentment by approaching over-criticism and dependency with compassion and practical strategies. It is possible to improve relationships, preserve dignity, and help older adults maintain a sense of agency and confidence in their later years.